Hi, everybody. I'm Mel Greenberg,
And I'm Karen Glasser.
and you are listening to Uncorked, Life Exposed in the Most Unexpected Ways, where what you see is not always what you get.
I know that's the case. I know it's never what you think it is. Uncorked is proud to be on the Vital C Network. And today, what are we talking about?
It's February, love,
Love, love,
but
love.
first,
It's time to
the
drink.
most important things. Cheers. Here's
Cheers.
to
What are you
love.
drinking? What are
I'm
you drinking?
drinking Cosmo because it's pink and
Because
pretty.
you can.
Because I,
Because
yes, because I can.
and I'm having a vodka cranberry. So cheers, and it's because it's red. Something to
Yeah.
drink. So
Cheers.
cheers.
And cheers to you all. Welcome.
It's all about the love.
Mm, that was good. Love
Yum.
Cosmos. So, Karen, what do you think of when you think of love?
Oh my gosh, when we first started talking about this topic, it was like, what do we not think of when we think of love? It was like everything. We talked about self-love and relationship love and pet love and platonic love. When I think of love, especially in this day and age, I think of family love. I think of how I feel when I'm with my family, and that for me, it's all about love. So, how about you?
It's true. And I think that we have been drawn over time, and certainly our generation, to the Hollywood happy ending, the romantic love, that
Right.
that's what it is. And it is so much more.
It is.
And as I now am a new grandmother and I think about that love and your expanding heart, that's what I think about, just the expansion and what that can bring in and what that can include. And during the time that we're all living in, what it really means.
It almost feels like your heart is exploding when you have that kind of love. It's
Yeah.
so, 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 so full. So we actually made a list of all the different kinds of love. And since this is always a Mel versus Karen, we thought we would approach it from that perspective. And the first kind of love that we came up with was self-love. And we talked all about, self-love in January as we were doing our intentions and all of that. When I think of self love, I think of all the things that I do in the morning. I mean, I'm up at a god awful hour. We talked about that before, but I really love myself at that time in the morning. I have my little routine. I do my journal. I do my meditation. I do my meditation about gratitude and all those kind of things. So that for me is an everyday occurrence. Self love is an everyday occurrence. How about
Aren't
you?
those routines so satisfying when you complete them and just it gives you a sense of calm in
Yeah.
completing the tasks? Yeah, I appreciate that.
Very, very much so. What does your self love look like?
It really is taking care of and growing myself.
Hmm.
And I think that goes back to being raised by a single mom who did everything for her children and for everybody else. And she'd always say, "Well, I'll get to that. I'll take care of it." With regard to herself, she put everybody else first. And I do think to some extent women do that, whether it's
Right.
naturally or by virtue of just our societal pressures.
Correct.
We do put everybody else first. But my thing is like, if your cup is empty, you're no good to anybody. So I do take care of myself. And that's, I take, whether it's yoga, whether it's exercising, whether it's knowing that I need to go sit in my room with a good book, close
Right.
the doors and tune out. It's whatever just sort of gives me the opportunity to go within. That's my self-love.
And it's funny because we as women, I think you're right. We as women, it's almost ingrained in us, and maybe because we watched our moms and our
Yeah.
moms watched their moms, and so on
Mhm.
and so forth, is that we came last in many respects, right? In the beginning, we take care of everybody but ourselves.
Right.
Um,
It's almost expected.
it's
You're
almost
self
expected.
what? You're doing what?
You're taking a bubble bath? What exactly are you doing?
Me time? No, no, no.
No, I used to say every time I took a bath, that was when the kids needed me. Whenever or when I got on the phone
On
just to
the
have
phone. Oh my
chit
yeah.
chat
That's
with my
my dog.
friends,
If I'm
right?
on the phone, the dogs are all at my feet.
That's what I called it's the mommy
Yeah.
challenge.
Mhm.
It's the mommy challenge. So I think self love is I think it's like number one on my list. Which sounds sort of selfish, I guess. It's the number one thing that I, do. But I think that if, as you said, if we're not okay, how is anybody else going
How's
to be
anybody
okay?
else? Has it changed for you notably over the years? And now, as an empty nester and
Yeah.
living your peak stage, have you noticed that you're more in tune with what that means and giving it to yourself righteously?
Yeah, exactly. Much more so. I'm still a work in progress. I'm clearly still a work in progress because when I do something for myself, there's always in the back of my mind, what else could I have been doing during this time for somebody else? But I'm getting much better at it.
Yeah,
And maybe it's because it's 4 in the morning. What else am I going to be doing for anybody else at 4 in the morning? I mean, maybe that's what it is. And maybe that's when I do it. And that's why I do it at
and
that,
that's why. Yeah.
right? Because nothing else comes to mind like, oh, maybe I should be doing something else. So for me, it's the most important love I think that's out there because when you can do that,
Mhm.
then you're much better, I think, equipped to have romantic love, right?
Yes, yes, because you're not looking to fulfill yourself through another person. You are filled.
Yeah.
They then become
Oh, wow.
complement.
Yeah. Yeah.
They become
How many people do we know, each of us, that are identified by the person that loves them rather than who they are themselves, right?
yeah.
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 So what do you do for romantic love? What does a Mel picture look like?
It changes, and it depends on my state of mind, which is a little bit of a roller coaster on an ongoing basis, as you well know. But I think it is always about being connected and tuned in. So whether it's literally watching the NCAA national championship football game, because my husband is loves that more
Right,
than
right,
anything. But I also I'm not sacrificing to watch football. You all know I love football. So giving into that and enjoying
right.
that, or whether it's something, like here's an example. Last night, he and I just met. He does a radio show, and after he taped that, we met at our club and just together had a glass of wine and caught up on things and had a lovely conversation.
Lovely.
And just being present with each other, whether it literally is watching a football game on TV or planning something exciting for our family. I love to cook. So I do, and we have that on our list. Cooking is love for me.
Yeah.
So I love preparing a meal and enjoying that together. Yeah, it's pretty flexible, but being tuned in to each other.
Yeah, very much so. I do something, we've been doing something for quite a while now, is we have this little jar that whenever something during the day, something happens that I want to like leave a message for him, like a sweet little message, I love you, or I love that you did this. We write notes to each other and we put them in this jar. Now, originally we started it so that at the end of the year, we could open the jar up and then look at all the notes that are in there. We're not as, I mean, I'd like to say that we actually do that on a regular basis. We don't. But we do put notes in there. Sometimes I'll stick a note up on his medicine cabinet
I
in his
like that.
bathroom, just to kind of like, I'm thinking about you.
Mhm.
I love you. And so for me, that's part of the romantic love. And also part of the romantic love is making making a
Yeah,
plan to do something. Just like you said, it was kind of like on the spur at the end of the radio show, and you guys just went over to the club, you met, and you did. I'm a planner.
really? No,
Yeah, I'm a planner,
I
and
want to jump off the cliff, girl.
exactly. So I tend to like to want to make the plan. It's the anticipation and it's the excitement. Like, oh, like for instance, for the night of love, Valentine's Day, we're planning what we're going to do. We're going to cook together. So we're back to the food thing, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But we're going to actually cook, and we're going to, we literally made a plan as to what we're going to do to celebrate our love. So for us, the whole romantic thing takes many different ways. We make a plan or we make a note, just as a reminder. I
Yeah,
think we all need to be reminded that we're loved, not just by self love, but by the other people in our world that
yeah. I
that
love
love
that.
us.
Yeah, I like that.
What about sexy lingerie? Is that something that happens in your household?
It can. It's. I mean, I can take it or leave it.
Yeah.
I find that appeal in other ways, but I also know that he really enjoys that, so I do that.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah, I think my husband loves it too. Me, I could take it or leave it, but I know he loves it, and so it's like. Okay. So I have a question. So, do we do things just because the other person likes it, or do we figure out a way to like it too, so that it's kind of mutual?
I would say both.
Yeah.
And I don't say that in a forgiving or negative way. There are
Hmm.
plenty of times that his meter is like this, and I'm just like, can I just watch TV and go to sleep? But I know that maybe he's had a rough day and the markets have
Right.
gone to hell in a
Oh,
handbasket and
yeah,
he's
yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
stressed. And it's like, you know what? It's a gimme. And it is sharing, but I also think that's love because it's
Right.
giving, it's honoring someone else's needs above your own, and I'm okay with that, and I appreciate that because it happens plenty of times on the other
On the
side
other
in
side.
other ways.
Right.
Never
Right.
about sex because honestly, and I do love it. I don't think that I mean, I don't know a woman on in my circle that likes it as much as the men in her circle. So,
Isn't that
you know,
interesting? Yeah, I
yeah.
would agree with that.
So it's
Uh,
always a little give and take, but there is give and take, and
yeah,
there's
very much so.
and I think that's okay. I think it's again an honor of sharing the
Right,
journey.
and I think that romantic love and sexual love changes as time goes on. I always kind of hone in on the word intimacy. For me, intimacy takes many different uh, ways. I mean, it can be the act of sex, or it can just be, hugging each other, or holding hands, or just being close to one, or taking a walk. So there's a lot of different ways that romantic love can rear its head. I think.
I put that question out to my group notes from the nest on Facebook,
Hmm.
and because I was really curious as we're approaching this month, that
Right,
was last month, and the answers I got back were I completely connected with because it does change, whether it's holding hands.
right.
Just, I mean, sometimes we'll be walking somewhere and he'll just reach over and take my hand. That's romantic love.
I did, and I just literally, as you said that, that
Right.
made me feel good.
Right. There's other times I want to take that hand and throw him off the cliff, but that's, but like you just,
Right,
it's very important that to kind of welcome those changes. And I think there is no script.
right.
And if we kind of, and that's where winging it is really important, and trusting and tuning into your feelings with each other. And I love how you brought up how that it changes, and year to year it changes, and what
Totally.
matters changes. That's beautiful. Yeah.
It totally does. I mean, I used to, when I was growing up, I remember thinking I didn't really want to know if my parents were having sex. I mean, that was kind of like, ew, they were older, and did they do that? Now here we are, we're older, and yeah, we do that, but it's funny because as kids, we don't want to know what our parents are doing behind closed doors.
Oh my
That's
God. So funny story. I mean, the first chapter of my book, head on, full on.
right.
So when I hit send to send my oldest son Matthew and his then girlfriend the manuscript, I'm just like, I hope this makes money because I'm going to need to pay for therapy for them. And he literally, and he texts his brother. He goes, I know it's not a memo. I know it's not mom and dad. Just trust me on this. Tell her she's a great writer. You know she is. Do not read it.
Oh my God, that's funny.
He goes, I could not get out the picture out. He goes, I know it's not you and dad. I can't get that picture out of my head that could be you and dad.
Isn't that, but it's so true. It's so true. So if
Yeah.
for our viewers or our listeners, whether you're watching or listening on Vital Sea or listening to the podcast, um, you know, it's true, right? It is true.
Kids do not. It's like way too much information.
Like,
I
don't talk to
know.
me. Oh my gosh. So, then we kind of moved into, when we were talking about the show, platonic love, right? And what does that mean? We have friends. I mean, I love my friends. I love you. Do I romantically love you?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't. But I love you as a friend, and I can't imagine not having my friends in my life,
And I
right?
think that's a really important conversation to be had, especially in this age range and realm and development, because those relationships are profoundly important. And
Hmm.
I remember, and it's coming up on 3 years in this month, that I lost my beloved Bruno, my bulldog. And those who know me know he was my soulmate. My husband would joke that he hoped I would be that broken up when he goes, but
Right.
but anyway, after family and we went through everything with them, the first person I called was my oldest and dearest friend from college, Kathy, because that was where my heart went. And
Right.
that friendship and those friendships matter. Those friend, you don't always need to be. And tell me what you think about this, the whole soulmate thing. Because I see posts and like, oh, this is my best friend, my soulmate, and they're talking about their spouse, and that's beautiful. But I'm thinking, no, no, not. We are deeply connected, and I love him, and I want to hold his hand till my last breath.
Hmm.
But would I say he's my soulmate or best? I just don't know that I attribute that to those relationships
Interesting.
because I think it's a puzzle, and there are so many pieces that form those depths of connection that we need to survive and to thrive.
Right.
And a big part of that is the platonic friendships that we've built over many years and new friends.
Well, the question is always asked, do you need to like somebody before you marry them? Do you need to be best friends before you marry them? Is that friendship supposed to be there first before you move into romantic love and then you get married or whatever you're going to do? Is
Mhm.
that I believe that the best marriages started out of friendship and
I
that
do. I agree.
I really do. And that if you don't have that, if you don't have those deep relationships with that person that you love dearly, you
Mhm.
only love them to a certain part because you don't know them. You
And
don't.
that flame can burn. And and I'll reference my mom again because she passed when I was so young. She dropped tidbits that she hoped I would take with me. And one was to like the person that I loved because they were not, that is not synonymous. And lust and
Yeah,
that attraction is so strong and that burning passion, it dies very quickly if there's nothing underneath. So yes, I agree with you that if there a strong foundation and a friendship foundation on some level, I mean, there has to be a chemistry
right,
for it to
right,
go to the next level. You could
right,
have a lot of friends that
right,
you would
right.
never end up having a romantic relationship with, but that it be the first step. I think I agree with you.
And do we have to, as we grow older and we have family members? I remember saying as I was getting older, I didn't pick my family. I don't, because this is pre-pandemic, pre all the craziness that we've been through, where my family became the most important thing to me. But prior to that, you would hear me say on a regular basis, I didn't pick my family. Nobody can make me love them, but I
Yeah,
pick my friends and I pick the people that
yeah.
are important to me. And therefore, it means much more to me. As you know, we fast forward though, and now we have a pandemic and we have all the other stuff. And
Mhm.
yeah, maybe I didn't pick my family, but thank God I have them.
For them.
Right.
Yeah, I think about that with my two boys, and I've shared it with them. They're probably sick of hearing it, but they truly are best friends, and they've always been close. Not to
Mhm.
say they haven't had their sibling
Right.
BS, but you can't make that happen. You can encourage an environment that um, fosters respect for your siblings or whatever, but as far as creating, making them be friends, that can't happen. And it brings me the most joy
Right.
to see that now at 29 and 27,
Right.
they are friends, that friendship is so deep, and it's family, and that it is family matters. It is.
Absolutely. Under the whole platonic thing, though, we also threw in pets, and you actually already mentioned, the fact that you were so connected, as I am, even though I kicked them out of the room today, with my dogs. I mean, I love my dogs. I love my animals. I love my pets. And sometimes I think I love them more than my spouse or my,
Mhm.
family because they love me unconditionally.
Unconditionally, yep. Oh, it's true. But that goes to what I was saying earlier about all the pieces that form the puzzle, the picture
Hmm.
of our lives, and together. And
Right.
of course, pets for those of us who are pet lovers, there's no substitute. That unconditional, precious love is incredible. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as we were like going through this whole thing, it was like, okay, what other kind of love is there? And we came up with environment love. In my case, it's my backyard. I spent almost a year through frustration trying to get the backyard done last year and getting my patio
Mhm.
furniture. But I love my backyard. I mean, if you can love a thing, I do. I love my backyard. I love going outside. I love sitting outside. I love being by the fire pit. We have a huge, we laugh every day. It's like, where do you want to sit today? Let's go sit up there for a few seconds and let's
Yeah,
go, because we love our environment. We love
right.
to be put together for us outside. What about you? Do you have a place in your house that you just love?
I do, and I came to love it. As you know, I grew up in Southern California, and I miss being on the ocean a lot.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I really came to love and have an incredibly different appreciation for our little corner of the desert here
Right,
during and through this whole COVID mess.
right,
And I appreciate the quiet. And in my house, I have an area that's become my little sanctuary. My piano is there. It
love it.
the windows open onto one of the fountains, and I can be there during the day. It's where I write. It's where I read. It's now where I read to Isla and play with her. And it's a beautiful, quiet. It can be an escape. I mean, people can join me. My dining room table's 4 feet away,
Right.
but it's on the other side of the house, and it really is my space. And I kind of have labeled it that, so it's like stay away. But then outside too, depending on where the sun is, I pick a part of the garden, and again, whatever
Right.
mood I'm in, kind of dawns where
Well,
I
we've talked and you said, okay, I'm going to move to a different section right now. And you literally have gotten up and moved to the other side of the house where it has a different view because it gives you a different feeling,
yeah,
right?
yep. Yeah, and we are so embedded in nature in our desert. We're up in the hills here, and I love that. And I will same. I get up very early. I like to watch the sun come up. I also
Right.
appreciate the quiet before everyone else wakes up,
Right.
and you can just to listen to the birds and the cactus wren and the saguaros.
Hmm.
It's a really beautiful, and it's also inspiring. So yeah, environment.
Yeah, totally environment, totally environment.
Mhm.
I think that when we did this list, we ended with food because food
Best
is
way.
love, right? It's how a
Yeah.
lot of people express their love is by cooking and home cooked meals and I remember, growing up, my aunt, walking into her house, and I just felt the love. You could smell the
Mhm.
horseradish, and because I'm Jewish, and
Yeah.
and we would make for Passover. She would make
Right.
her own horseradish, or you could smell the foods, the brisket, and the food it was love. I mean, I
Yeah.
felt loved when I walked in there. Now, I'm not married to a foodie. You and I both know that. My husband, I think food is love. He thinks food is peanut butter. So, I don't know how you express love with peanut butter or not, but like he and I, as I said earlier, we're gonna cook dinner together for Valentine's Day. We're gonna make
And I
linguine
think that,
and
and you know what? That's self-love on his part
right,
to participate in something that
right.
he knows means so much to you, and he wants to be
Ex-
part of that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You love
cooking
to cook. You're a
is
cook.
everything. I am. I love it. I grew up with it. I think the kitchen is the heart of the home, and when we entertain, no matter what's going on in any part of the house, everyone gathers there.
Right.
And when my kids used to come home and they could smell things cooking, and then when they were out and living away, we'd get back and they're like, "Oh, you're making yada yada, and it smells so good." And it is those memories. And I remember my mom telling me that her favorite memory of Passover was growing up. My grandparents owned a hotel in what is now the Gaslamp District in San Diego.
Mhm.
And she said, I used to sit on the stoop outside, and then this was back in the 30s, so a long time ago, um, grating horseradish.
There
And
you
I
go.
and I
Praying.
remember the sense. So it was nothing about the holiday or the significance of the holiday. It was the food, and it is the
Right.
tradition of the gathering and the cooking. And so I haven't thought about what I'm going to do for Valentine's Day. This has really prompted me to. I'm going to have to leave here, and I will keep y'all posted.
Yeah, I mean, I actually said to my husband, I said, Michael, I said, I asked him this question. I said, what does romance look like to you? What do you think when you think romance? And of course, he said, well, sexy lingerie. I said, okay, but other than that,
That's not romance. That's
what
sex.
is what does it look like to you? And he said, candles at dinner time. And I went, oh, that's lovely. Okay, so I wanted to really include him in the process of
Yeah.
having a romantic evening. And that's really where this all comes full circle, right? This is what this is all about. This is all about love, however it looks in your
Well,
household.
yes. And it's so different and continually changing. And I think
Yes.
it's up to us
Yes.
to love ourselves and acknowledge that and accept those changes.
Right. There's a book called The Five Languages of Love. I don't know if you've read it, but it's really
Yeah,
fascinating because when you do the little quiz in there, you find out how you accept love and what makes, you happy versus what maybe your spouse or significant other. He
yeah.
likes gifts. He likes being given gifts. He
So
just loves having
he's a
gifts.
receiver.
He loves
So
that.
what are the five? Do you know? Because I don't remember, and I was surprised at the one I got. I can't remember which one it was, but
The what?
the one that I did the quiz, and I can remember like you are certain yada yada.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was called. All
And
I know is that I don't like gifts. That's not how I like to have
mhm,
love expressed to me. I like somebody to do something nice for me, like clean, empty the dishwasher. That's a sign of love for me
yeah,
because
yeah.
it sounds ridiculous, I think, but that's my thing. I don't want a gift. I don't need to hear any of that. I want my husband to hold my hand every so often. That's a sign of love. How is your love expressed? I mean, when you think about how you like to have your love expressed, what would you say
From me or to me?
to you?
To me. Um, I think doing something considerate. I'm not so much. I don't need. I mean, I like getting gifts. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's more action oriented
Yes.
that drives
Yeah.
me and makes me feel loved. And here's an example. The other night, my Matthew and Heather and the baby live with us right now, and we kind of alternate planning meals and doing
Hmm.
things. And the other night, Heather just jumped in and made this incredible dinner, and I was so grateful, and it was off the charts amazing. And so it's just those little things that mean so much.
How you show love.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a funny thing because back in January, when I am so much more was our theme and was talking about attentions and
Mhm.
goals and all the stuff. And we talked about doing a life balance wheel, and we talked what it looked like, and that we would do this every month. We would bring
Mhm.
it up. And so what, a couple of weeks ago we were watching the show, and I know you did the same thing I did. I went, oh crap. I
Gotta
better
do
go
the wheel.
I better go find the wheel
Yeah.
because we have a show coming up and we have to do this. So Mel versus Karen, we both did something completely different. I looked at the wheel that we had done in January and, oh, that's not working for me at all. So I went and found something completely different. And I started, so in January, it was in the purple color or whatever color that was, and then the green. And I'm doing it all in one page. I want to see my growth. I want to see how I've gotten better or worse, hopefully not worse, in the different areas. You did something completely different. You found something that was really cool, and you're going
Yeah.
to send it to me.
So
What did you?
I texted you a while ago and I said, okay, I'm working on it. And then I sat down to work on the wheel as it had been originally presented,
Mhm.
and it's giving me anxiety. I'm just like, I hate this format. And I think that's why I have trouble with the planners that are very rigidly defined.
Right,
Because I'll write something and then it's like no. Like I write notes and then I go through them and there's like 40 iterations of them and I throw it away, start over,
right.
until I get whittle it down. So it was making me crazy. I'm like, this is stupid. So I went online and I found a really cool website. I just Google Life Wheel. There's a million of
Right,
websites out there,
right.
resources, and I found this really cool outline, and it was questions. So for each category that's actually on the wheel, that was broken down, and it's in a box, and there's like two or three, some four questions in each one, and answered the questions. And so I'm going to do that each month, and that I liked. Do not
So
like that
the
wheel.
lesson
Good
is
lesson.
do what works for you. Do
Yes.
what works for you. The whole idea of this to see growth. It's just to see
Yeah.
where you have a deficit, maybe in the different things in your life, versus where you are overflowing with things that are going really really well. So my family piece was like way off the charts at this point because I have worked really really hard. I never thought of it as work, but I guess I have done a lot to make that. The other stuff's not so much. I looked at it. My social life sucks big time, and I don't know. Maybe it's
Really,
because
Karen, how do you feel?
maybe really, it's like I really need to work on that, and I needed to work on it in January, and clearly I'm going to have to continue working it on in February because I had very little growth in that. Where are you seeing growth on yours?
Yeah, so I'm seeing growth in my personal growth. And I think that comes from I'm really working on my voice and articulating and speaking up, not 2 weeks later when I've carried it with me because
Right,
I just keep it all in. So that's my personal growth. And where I need to get back or bring strength to is physical. And that's simply because I got out of my practices during the
right,
holidays.
right.
And then the house was sick and in the beginning of January. And so now,
Getting
it's getting back to that, and it's giving myself the grace that I'm not going to say, okay, Monday, boy, that's it, it's going to happen. But because I feel better when I'm doing things, when I have my physical activities,
right.
and I am taking up or retaking up golf. I'd started
Oh,
lessons
nice.
again. I used to play, and then I started some lessons before COVID, and then that hit, and then I just didn't. And so now I'm going to get back to playing that
Right,
golf.
right. Yeah, and I'm back to walking again,
Good.
which is great. And I've also dragged my hubby out with me. We're walking every day now. Not a lot, but we're walking, and that's a
Yeah.
start. And
You
that
don't have
that
to be. That's whatever you do. That's
right,
wonderful.
right,
Yeah.
right. Absolutely. So Mel, you put together an amazing song list, a playlist on Spotify. We want to encourage people go check it out. Wherever you're watching this, there are different places that you can go check. If it's on Spotify, you can see it in the area, the description. There's a link there to the Spotify playlist. There's also a link there to the curated gifts that we picked out for this month that had all
Mhm.
to do with love as
Yep.
well. Yeah. So we really want you to go check that out. And a couple of things we want to announce, right? You and I are going to jump on an Amazon Live sometime this month, and we're going to talk about some of the products that we put into our gift pack
Yeah.
this month. So we want you to join us. We're kind of expanding our
Little universe.
our little universe. We're going to do something we've never done before.
We want to be meta.
We want to be meta, and it doesn't and meta is any age, right? It doesn't matter what age you are. You can be any
Exactly.
age whatsoever. I always love getting together with you. Oh my gosh, these are so much
I
fun. What's
know.
the
It's
message you want to
so
send
fun.
out to everyone today?
I want to just encourage everyone to embrace the love within them and to really appreciate the love around you while it's there. And have a wonderful, wonderful month. We'll see you next month.
Absolutely. And go check us out on VitalC. All of the shows live on VitalC, vitalc.com/watch/uncorked. And when you go there, all of the shows live there. Go binge watch, right? Go and binge watch us. And then tell us what you thought you liked the best. We'd love to hear from you. Go out and give somebody an awesome day, and we'll see you next month on Uncorked. Goodbye,
Ciao.
everyone.